Hey everyone, Arcade here, and in this video we're going to be looking at the GameSir G7 SE wired controller, which is for PC, Xbox One, and Series S and X. Now, the main attraction to this controller is that it has Hall effect sensors for both the joysticks and the triggers, and if you don't know what that means, it's basically impossible. I think it might be impossible for Hall effect sensors to get stick drift on the joysticks. And another thing about it is that while yes, it is wired only, it is around the same price as a standard Xbox controller. So for that reason, a lot of people might be interested in this controller. Like I said, it is wired only. I'm just opening it up here. I recorded this before, so that's why I'm not really talking about exactly what's happening. Pretty standard unboxing experience. And yeah, while it is a wired controller, it does have a pretty nice 3-meter cable that it comes with, and it is detachable, so you can use whatever. And this is one of the only third-party controllers that I've ever used that I might make the main controller for the console it's for Xbox games and even some PC games, which is never the case. So we're going to switch to some gameplay now, where I'm going to be using the controller in games that I'm pretty comfortable in, because I think that's more of an indication of how it works, because I know what it should feel like with a proper controller. So here's just a quick clip of Skater XL. Skater XL uses the triggers to turn and the sticks to do tricks, so it's pretty important that it works properly. I'm just doing a few like 180s and like tricks that use the rotation and the sticks. And to my surprise, like I said, even really good third-party controllers usually have some sort of input delay that just makes me not want to use them, even if they're pretty good otherwise. Now we're playing some Thug Pro, which is all about like precise movements when you're trying to do combos and stuff. But yeah, this controller feels like it could be an official controller, which, like I said, I've literally never had from a third-party controller. I've had controllers that are really good and really close, but usually it feels like there's some sort of input delay, or like the dead zones are weird. There is zero dead zone in this controller, which is exactly what it sounds like. If you're playing COD, for instance, which I will have some gameplay against bots, so I could just run around and just like, you know, shoot without getting killed over and over. In COD, I literally set the input dead zone to 0 because of the Hall effect triggers and the Hall effect joysticks. So yeah. So for the price, it might be hard to convince someone to pay if it's more than a Xbox Series S or X controller. But if you can get it for less and you want to try out a controller with Hall effect sensors, it also has back buttons, remappable back buttons. And it has software that you can download so you can pick the vibration intensity. The software lets you set the triggers to be hair triggers, so as soon as you slightly press them in, it will register as you're holding the triggers down. So if you want like instant aiming and shooting in a shooting game, you can do that. And when you set this on PC, the profiles are stored on the controller, so you can plug it into your Xbox. You press the home button on the controller plus B, A, X, Y, which correlate to 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 profiles that you can save, and you can then use those profiles on the console. But as you can see here in Tony Hawk, one of the games that I think it's really important to have a good controller, no issues. I'm not the best, but I'm pretty good at Tony Hawk, but not as good as like the top tier players by any means. So yeah, 0 issues. All right, so now for the last little bit of the video, I will let the gameplay play out, because I think I'm probably going to finish my thoughts a bit earlier than the gameplay finishes. The controller in general just feels really good. Like I said, it's the best third-party controller I've ever used as far as I can remember. A little more about the controller and the way it feels. The face buttons all feel like good. The tension on the thumbsticks, I would say, is around the same as the Series S, X, Xbox One controller. So a little looser than a Xbox 360 controller. The triggers feel good. The bumpers feel really nice. The bumpers are really nice and clicky. The triggers, you know, they may be a little easier to activate than the standard Xbox One controllers, but good nonetheless. Probably the worst part about the controller is the back buttons. They work really well, and they are like mappable to whatever button you want, but they're kind of easy to press. But I will say they're in a really good spot. If they were a little harder to press, they're basically right where my middle fingers rest on each side. So yeah, no issues with the button placements. It does have a 3.5mm jack, so you can plug your earphones in, and it even has a mute button. So if you have earphones with a microphone, you can really easily mute the microphone. So yeah, just a really good controller in general. Here on the screen now, I'm going to show you a pictures of my custom DualSense 5, my standard DualSense 5, and this controller. And this is a circularity test where it shows you how accurate it is when moving the joysticks in a round motion. So like every range of the joystick. As you can see, the worst one by far is the right stick on my custom controller. The DualSense 5 controller, it might look pretty bad, but that's honestly kind of standard after using a controller just for a little bit. But obviously they do not stand up at all to the Hall effect sensors in this controller, where the error rate is basically nil. So yeah, I'm going to let the gameplay play out now. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Like the video if you did, subscribe if you want, and I'll catch you all in the next one.